Good morning, everybody. So this is this is an answer to a question that I've just seen on YouTube, and it's from a guy called Hudson. I've just seen it, and I just thought, well, while I'm in studio, I might as well just answer the question. So here we go. So Mr. Hudson, I think they call him Mr. Hudson. Mr. Hudson put on one of our videos that you can't waterproof a house basement convert if it's over a natural spring. Wrong. Wrong, Mr. Hudson. The systems that have been invented and British Standard 8102, which has been updated 2022, tells you that you can, and I have done. So I've got a property up at Bark Green Road. I've done quite a few basement conversions already, retrofit basement conversions, and the first ever one that I did was on the same row. So where I've got this property is 5 houses up, and when I joined Safeguard as a registered user, I'd never done a basement before, and I knew how to do one. I've been on alt courses and that. This was my first ever one, and I thought it must be simple. It's got to be easy to do. I've got it in my head out, how to put all stuff in, and how to fit a pump, even though I'd never done one. My idea was I can dig out for sump, install that, and then plumber can put pump in. This is how I thought it'd go. So the guy wanted his basement, his cellar converting. I went up, had a look at it, gave him a price, which were reasonable, and he must have thought it was reasonable because he said, yeah, it were 10 grand. So, and this is years ago. So I'd tell him 10 grand, including materials, and he wanted basically everything were getting stripped out at cellar, so it were all brick, and he'd got a brick on edge floor, and we were going to take that up. So I'd got Rich, who's a builder. He were going to take floor up and concrete it, and where I did it, technically, were wrong, but it worked. So what I did, I put the membrane, came down the walls, and then went under the floor, and it shouldn't have been like that. And we'd got as sump and pumping. So your membrane, you lay your slab, and then your membrane comes down and goes onto the slab. So this is how you should do it. But I'd done it other way, and it's worked, and it's still going strong today. So there's a way that it can be done, and it can work doing it that way. But in theory, and I've learned, it should have gone on top of the slab. But when Rich dug floor up, there were a lot of water coming in, and this is how we know that on that row, excuse me, this is how I know that on that row there's an underground river. So speaking to alt neighbours and old people that live there, they said somewhere a bit further up there's an underground river, and when it rains heavy, the water table rises and it comes into cellars. And there were a drain running through all cellars. Excuse me. Some cellars had blocked it up. Some cellars had left it, open. For some reason, water came into this cellar. So we got a lot of trial and error, and we got the sump in. Plumber came, fitted pump, and got it all fitted and fitted out, and it's been good to this day. Lasted guarantee period, which we gave him for 10 years. Still not had any issues now. odd years later. So again, a few years later, I bought a property further up, nearer to where this underground river is, and when I went to look at it, it were in a bit of a state. They had damp issues on walls in the front room, and straight away I knew what the issue was. I went into the cellar, and there was standing water, and I knew what issue was. The guy couldn't sell property. I made him an offer, and I got it for for cheap. Sale went through, and as it were going through, I'd got in my head what I was going to do with property. So we were going to put the in attic. It boarded all roof out, and it were all fine. But the access into it were like a pull down ladder. So idea was we were going to put a proper staircase in, and I were going to convert the basement as well. Just add a bit more value to it. So when we started, we got keys for it, and we started doing all work. The basement, we started digging it out, and every day that we came in, there were water in basement. So we took all bricks up and everything, and I could see where this water were coming in, and there were a pipe that ran through from right hand side to left hand side, and it were an old clay pipe that went through, but there were water coming in. So I thought, well, I don't want to disturb that, so I'm going to put a new piece of pipe in there, because I thought that's where issues were. But again, when we started digging out for sump, digging through clay, every time we came, there were water in. And this were the year when it all flooded in Barnsley. We had really heavy rain. It weren't the big flood when everything flooded further down there, but it was one that were like, so say 8 years ago. It flooded Darton, all around that area, and I used to go home and it'd be hammering it down with rain, and my heart would be in my mouth, because I just knew that when I got there, basement were going to be filled, so we were having to empty it all the time. Get buckets of water in, empty it out, get a pump in, empty it out. And it were a proper head scratcher at how we were going to do it. So I could see water were coming in through clay. Water were coming in, so I just knew water table were rising up, and this water were coming in. So my idea was, I'd render the wall up to a certain height with NatSem, and we'd leave one hole, so that if that water pressure were against them walls, it weren't going to, water pressure ain't going to rise up. So this were at front, on front wall, water pressure's not going to rise up and then come in off at top. If you leave a hole, then that water will continue to run out. You can keep emptying it until you get your pump in. And then once your pump's set up, and then you start putting your membrane on wall, and you get your concrete in and stuff, then eventually you'll get some what they call it, water plug. Then you'll plug that hole, and then if any water does come onto your slab, depending on what system that you've used, if water does come onto your slab, then it'll go into your perimeter drainage channel if you're going to use that system, or it comes onto the slab and goes into holes that's been left for a modular system. So the difference in them two systems is this: you've got a sump and a pump, and then in modular system you've got like a land, not land drain. It's what you'd use for normal drainage outside. So you've got a plastic pipe, and then every so often you've got an upstand, and then that gets cut off flush with concrete, and any water that comes in goes into the sump, gets pumped out. So it don't matter how much water comes onto your slab, which the water will be below your membrane, and all your membrane's sealed, so you're not going to get any water coming up. So it don't matter how much water comes on, that continuously goes into the drain pipe and then into your sump, where you've got two pumps. So if one breaks down, you've got a backup pump. You've got a backup battery system as well, and an alarm. So everything's set up. So if something fails, other one will kick in. So if electric goes off, you've got a battery backup, but tends to last around about 24 hours, something like that. It's very rare that power's going to be off for longer than 24 hours if it's just a power cut that's with local authority or something like that. If it's power cables that's come down, it's going to be longer. Like these floods that went off last year, I think it was. There were some areas that were without power for like weeks, and that's because they didn't have enough staff to sort it out. So I suspect there'd have been a lot of failures of pumps and stuff in that area, and that'll have been a big mess to sort out. But in theory, if you're going to get a power cut, it might be half an hour, something like that. So your battery backup is going to kick in, so your pumps are still working. If a pump fails, then other pumps going to kick in, and because you service these every year, because these get a service every year, you'll be able to tell if one's broke and other one's working, or if there's an issue, because a lot of these systems store information and things like that, you can normally check on them now, on the more expensive ones. But my answer to the question is this: that's a natural. When you say natural spring, this is an underground river. So you all these when rain falls on higher ground, that rainwater soaks through soil, and then it soaks through whatever that's going to be underneath soil, clay, and it goes down little holes and stuff, and it goes down limestone, and it works its way down, and then it goes into little tributaries or whatever they are, and then they run into rivers. So they all like running downhill, and these go into, which is probably what he thinks is a natural spring. It might be a river, natural spring. I think a spring might lead to a river. So when it comes down, you'll get like water running into one hole, which is a spring, but that water is going to run into a bigger river. And these are all underground, and they all met the way to sea at some point. So they all rivers is higher ground like that. So this is a map of England, like here. It rains on higher ground, and then it drops and drops and drops, and then it all works its way out to sea that way. So this is how it works. But this system, Type C system, which is a drain system, will work on houses where you've got water running through it. I mean, don't forget, in London where they're doing all these super basements, do you think that that any of them go through a natural spring when they're 5 stories below ground? Do you know what I mean? How do you think London Underground works? Do you know what I mean? they put like tunnels from one end of London to other sewers and all this. All these things, they all go through natural springs. They go through rivers, but they create systems or waterproofing systems that'll stop it, divert it, water, that deal with water pressures, that deal with hygroscopic water and hygroscopic pressure on buildings. It's all been done. All this has been done. And when we go and do as training, they show us different scenarios. We don't just turn up and go, that's how you do it, off you go. You have to learn these scenarios. And it's like, if you do get a property that's a problem, then you ask around, you research, you find out how to overcome that problem. And there's somebody that'll have done it before, And when you speak to them, they'll tell you how they did it, and you go, light bulb moment. Yeah, we did that. We learnt about that when we did this training, but I've never come across it. So this is how I will do it. So answer to your question, Mr. Hudson, you're wrong. So you're wrong. Thanks for participating, and it's given me a chance to have some content. So brilliant. But yeah, you're wrong. It's an house can have a natural spring. It can be waterproofed. There's properties in flood areas, that flood regular. They showed us I don't know whether this was Safeguard or whether this was PCA, but it was one at companies, and they showed us a project that I think it was Safeguard. It was a project that they'd done, and basically we're at a house, and when there were bad weather, this property had water running all the way around it, and they wanted a system where if it did flood and water came up so far, on this property, that the basement would stay dry. So it makes me think it were a boathouse. It might have been a boathouse. So it were a property on a river, but there were a boathouse there. So you got your property were up here, and then you'd got river, and you could go into the thing, and they wanted to keep it dry, and they put quite a few pumps in. And then when it did flood, these pumps were just continuously, when water were coming in, continuously pumping it out, but the overall structure stayed relatively dry. So they kept it dry. It didn't fail. And I think there's a video showing it working with water up. So yeah, they can, nowadays we can do put waterproof systems in a lot of things, and if it's done correctly, there's no reason why it won't work. So Type C, probably a combined system actually. So you do like a Type A and a Type C. So you probably render walls first and put a waterproofing system on, like a barrier system. Could do it on floor as well. And then you put your drainage system in, and then all your pumps and safeguarding checks and everything. And there's companies out there that do it. There's civil engineering companies that do it. But my answer is, yeah, I've done it. I've done it on a property that I own. So and it weren't easy. It were an head scratcher. It was something that were out of my comfort zone. It took a long time to do because I was having to research things and how do I do this, and yeah, and I remember doing that at college and all this. And it's all finished, it dry as a bone, and we've got people renting it. So, and they've got it as like a games room, telly room. So, all finished, all done. So that's Damp Sam enjoying this lovely day. I don't know whether it's sun's shining where you are. We all has merch. So we've got Damp Show cup. Tea or coffee tastes a lot better out of a damp cup. There you go. We've got these baseball caps that's actually come from meccas that make them for baseball teams in America. This is why it looks so cool on me. Damp Show baseball caps, and obviously these well-fitted t-shirts that they just look so cool. Just so cool. We might have a competition at some point so you can win them. But these go to guests when we've interviewed them. Just a little thank you for spending some time with us. And some lucky people's had these, and some lucky people's had these as well. But if if you want any damp proofing doing, and you want to get in touch with me, and you live in Barnsley area, just send us an email, dampsam at alldrydampproofing.com, so we can help you with damp and timber surveys, pre-purchase. You can find out what your property is going to be like in the next couple of years. If you've had any issues pulled up on a valuation report and they've said get a specialist PCA qualified damp surveyor, I'm your man. Especially if you're in Barnsley, South Yorkshire. I do travel further afield sometimes, so get in touch and get some prices offers. Not cheapest, but you know what you're getting with me. So that's it. And like I said, if you wanted some damp proofing doing, get in touch as well. If it's just run at mill stuff, and you can send me pictures, and I'll comment on them. And if we can help you with your problem, we will. So while ever it rains, there's always going to be damp issues, and while ever I'm alive, I'll always help us subscribers with the damp issues. So there you go. So that's Damp Sam signing off. Have a great day, and I'll see you on next time. Bye bye now. I don't know how this finishes. There we go.